Ah. Call me Virgil the way I be devouring this boomer juice. Hello everyone, it is I, Azura, once again deciding to get off my lazy ass and write a script about something I'm interested in again. How is everyone doing? Well, today is the day I finally talk about the one thing that I have been subtly enjoying on and off for the past week or two. A game made by a company so inspired by Devil May Cry, you'd think they'd have a shrine of the wacky woohoo pizza man or the motivated man in their offices. From the great minds of MiHoYo themselves, they bring us Zenless Zone Zero. Great game. It's pretty fun for a gacha game, I won't lie. Anyway, how did I get into Zenless? Well, my mate Richard recommended it to me, not knowing I have roughly 1,000 days logged in Honkai. Thanks to that one crossover MiHoYo did with Evangelion years back, and I have everything from that collab event, by the way. Asuka is still incredibly fun to play. And considering that Zenless plays very similar to Honkai, I found myself hooked on the game very quickly. The one thing I will admit with ZZZ in comparison to the other gacha games in the MiHoYo sphere, less the gacha space, is just how different the presentation of Zenless really is. It originally leans into the whole Y2K aesthetic, something that being a 2000s kid I really appreciate. It takes me back to the days when the 360 was the newest console, the DS was what everyone had, and the PS2 was the greatest console ever made, and still is. I will fight anyone who disagrees with me on this. When you load up the game, you get a choice of a character you want to experience Zenless with. Weiss, a man so dense, you'd think he's made out of osmium. And Bell, a certified gremlin who can and will say bruh at any moment's notice. These two lovable dorks are the tag team duo of Phaethon. Well, they were until they get their account hacked, have to start over from scratch. You gotta give the player the ability to name their account somehow, and, well, MiHoYo just shoehorned that in. Zenless' story actually keeps things pretty light, especially in lieu of HI3, which is just incredibly depressing after Chapter 9. Yeah. I miss Himiko, man. I miss Himiko a lot. Anyway, the main interest of Zenless is the whole concept of the hollow. Literal pocket dimensions that appear out of thin air and swallow up large pockets of the physical world. I got that off the wiki before anyone asks. Corrupting anything within the hollow with ether. So what does humanity do instead of being wary of these little pockets of death? They said fuck it and dove headfirst into them, wondering what kind of resource they could get out of the hollows themselves, for money, power, or evading the law like how Virgil evades taxes, or they just do the shit for kicks. Due to the nature of the hollows being unstable, however, navigating them is as treacherous as the ethereals that reside in the hollows. Thus, most illegal hollow dives are assisted by proxies, and we, the players, are proxies. Phaethon themselves are legendary in this case. Now that most of the basics of the world is introduced and the basic premise of the story is laid out in about as half-assed as I can get into the meat and potatoes of Zenless, and that is the gameplay. In light of my experience as a captain from Honkai, Zenless feels a lot more like a spiritual successor to Honkai than Genshin ever did. For one, it's just as fast as Honkai, if not faster, has very similar control schemes, and the way you build your teams it's almost a one-to-one copy. 3 agents with your Bangaboo acting as a support unit, similar to the Valkyries and Elf system, and Zenless gameplay is pretty simple to grasp after that. One button for your attack, dodge, special, ultimate, but where the complexity of Zenless comes in is how you build your teams, especially those that do nothing but run mono ice, because we all know the difficulty of trying not to shatter the freeze with Sokaku. I've yet to get Lycan, I need Lycan. Game please. Ultimately, it is a gacha game at the end of the day, it will want you to spend your money on it, but that doesn't mean that the game isn't generous with its pulls in most places. I got lucky and pulled Miyabi twice alongside her W engine, so the game just sort of plays itself for me, but that's besides the point. Free-to-play players have access to Nicole. We love Nicole, for a goddamn reason. I have no idea what I'd do without Nicole, but I bless Nicole for existing. It's nice to see a game actually have a good number of ways you can grind for pulls, especially with Hollow Zero, Deadly Assault, Shiyu Defense, a whole butt ton of events that you can do on the side. I never really feel like I have to worry about polychrome. I just hop on, do my weeklies, do my dailies, and I can just go do something else afterwards. That and the gameplay is just incredibly snappy. Everything feels responsive. Dodging feels good, swapping to different agents feels good, and defense assists when you hit the parry. Dopamine. Pure fucking dopamine. Which reminds me, I need to pull for Caesar when she comes back around. It's a more refined version of Honkai's gameplay. It's the same core fundamental thing, but it's more streamlined, a bit modern, and a bit less clunky. That and the soundtrack. My goodness, the soundtrack in this game slaps. I don't know what MiHoYo does in their audio department, but they fucking nail it every time. There hasn't been a day gone by since finishing Chapter 4 that I haven't blasted Long Live the King or Go and Fight Pompeii. MiHoYo is never escaping the accusations of just being a music company with games tacked onto them, because oh my goodness. Long Live the King is one example, but then you have the other side of things with the high impact EDM of the OST, such as the VR theme, the twin marionettes, and the liquid drum and bass, and it's just the vibe is immaculate. That and the main theme of Come Alive. Come Alive just feels like 2000s metalcore and I love it. It fits incredibly well with the art style, and having this OST being a backing track to the absolute bonkers fights you sometimes get involved with is an absolute joy. And maybe I'm just in the honeymoon phase, but when I enjoy something, I hyper-focus on said thing. 2 weeks is all it took me to go from Internet 0 to Internet 50. I now know that I have only really started my Zenless journey because I have so much I still need to do when it comes to my characters. Until it feels like I can comfortably clear any of the endgame content, I've still got a lot of work I need to do in the resources department, the character leveling department, and just getting teams together, basically. I'll sort that out when I get around to it, though. The best part about Zenless, however, is the fact that it took things that I enjoyed about MiHoYo's other games and packaged them into a world and vibe that I thoroughly enjoyed experiencing. A story that is filled to the brim with mystery and memorable characters to boot. Billy Kid might go. While I always find getting into new gacha games to be a rather daunting experience, especially when it comes to things like the gacha mechanics themselves, I think what really does these games justice for me is the fact that behind the monetization is just the fact that they are good games in general. And Zenless just so happens to be one of those games that is really good alongside its gacha mechanics. It's free to play viable, fun to boot, and like Limbus Company being recommended to me by my good friend Daniel, who totally didn't slide me several pulls worth of money. Thank you, Daniel, for bribing me for that. Anyway, but we don't talk about that. Zenless has joined the roster of gacha games that I play because I actually enjoy them and not because I'm a gambling addict. I think. The free-to-play characters you get for this game aren't bad in the slightest. Nicole and her ability to just shred defense with her attack chain abilities. Billy and his big numbers when you're able to get his ultimate stack properly. M6 Billy. And a good build, my beloved. Ambi when you're actually, able to get a stun off. Actually, Ambi's pretty good in general, it's just I couldn't build her properly. Skill issue. Like every game in MiHoYo's catalog, not only do you have gachapon for their characters, but you also have to get their signature gear. Because, well, of course, you have to get their W engines to get the full viability of a character. But when it comes to, actually building these characters, it's just W engines and drive discs are where you can really experiment with your characters to try and get the best out of them. W engines work in the same way as a signature weapon would work. You get the signature gear, you can build optimally. Drive discs are an extension of the W engine system, and that's where you min-max your builds if you know what you're doing, and I don't, so I'm just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. The system is complex, but very rewarding. Especially when you know a build is good and you're able to do a decent chunk of damage, especially in late game content. Basically, Zenless pretty good. Would recommend. And this totally isn't because biased, because I spammed Miyabi's banner, got her weapon, and her twice, and lost my 50-50 once to Nekomata. Nope. Nah. No way. Totally isn't biased. Nope. No bias here. No sir. No ma'am. No sir. No ifs, no buts, no coconuts. I'm not coping. You're coping. You're coping. Anyway, thank you for watching, everyone. It's been a blast writing this in the span of an hour, as it just gets me through my day of getting my thoughts together, and I'd much rather branch out from just Apex Legends and first-person shooters in general into other genres of games that I just so happen to enjoy from time to time. I will eventually get that Limbus Company video out. I'm not coping here. Like, comment, subscribe if you want. Check out the links in below, such as my Discord, Twitch, Twitter. And if you feel like you want to support the channel, be sure to check out the Ko-fi. It's like Patreon if you want to deal with that stuff. And just share this video around with friends if you really want to. Anyway, it's Azura, and I'm going back into my rock for 2 weeks. Doodles!